Welcome everyone to Your Our Unity, a show that wishes to spread a spirit of peace and love in the world, one conversation at a time.
None of that affects how you are going to change the world.
That's right.
No, it does not take one person to change the world, but it takes one person to believe in themselves.
Yes.
That they can make a difference.
I love
to
that.
Inspire others.
And that's why, for me, I try to make it my purpose now to try to help other people realize their self-worth.
Yeah.
Because it's so sad that so many of us, we get destroyed based off of what other people have to say.
Yeah.
I would say do it in your own way. Make sure you're doing it on your own accord and take a risk.
Go out there and live your life passionately. Believe in everything that you're doing and believe in the fact that you will accomplish every single goal. Welcome everyone to Your Our Unity, a show that wishes to spread a spirit of peace and love in the world, one conversation at a time. We want to encourage you to poetically speak the truth of you to the world. It is so important that we share our experiences, our hopes, our dreams. Just share all that we've experienced in our life and all that we've had to go through to be who we are. Because what you have to say, your story can help someone heal, it can help someone grow, it can also help someone change their lives and the trajectory of their lives because of all that you've been able to share. I think it is so important that we live our lives poetically right now, especially now. We have a song in us. We must share it with everyone around us. We must be a healing vessel for those around us as well. But more importantly, we need to make sure that we're grounded in the truth of who we are so that others can grow and be inspired by that very thing. I am your host, LaShawn Walker. I'd like to welcome you in. Please like, share, and follow. Let everyone know that we're on right now. Oh my God, we're back. It has been a month since I've seen you guys, and I miss you so very, very much. But I needed that time off. I needed some time to recalibrate. I needed some time to just restore and rejuvenate myself, and I took advantage of that in the month of August. The summer is so fastly gone, like right now. Fastly is not even a word, but the summer is gone and it has flew by so fast. And I'm trying to hold on as much as I can, but it is unfortunate that we are now in a new season. It's going to get a little chilly outside, going to get a little cold. We're probably going to try to be indoors more, but I hope that you guys had a wonderful summer. I hope that you were able to experience some wonderful things and be around people who uplift and inspire you as well. As I said, I was, on this journey this past month, this spiritual journey. And I was able to go away to Texas to an amazing gathering where I was fellowshipping and worshiping with believers like myself. I spent some time with my daughter. I spent some time just reflecting on my life, my past. I was enjoying what I reaped so that I can now sow even more. I was ready to get my life together so I could share that with you. And I hope that you're also doing that in your life as well. I hope that whatever you learned, whatever you've been doing, however you've grown in this past few months, that you're sharing it with others in your life. You can be that help and that healing that someone else needs in their life. You can be that inspiration. You can be that call to action for someone out there. You just tell your story, you be truthful about who you are, and you just embark on a journey of reawakening. That's what I've been doing, and it has been a blessing. I cannot begin to tell you how rejuvenated I feel. I actually, honestly, went through a rebirth, and it was miraculous. It truly was. I've won some things, I've gained some amazing things, and unfortunately, I've lost something as well, something very dear to me. But all of those things contributed to the poetic song of LaShawn Walker, the truth of who I am, helping me be greater in who I am and wanting to accomplish so much more. I've learned a lot in this past month, not just about the world at large, but about myself. I've learned just how strong I am. I've learned just how smart I am. And I also learned how creative and wise I am. And I'm so glad that I took these few weeks off in the month of August to actually get a greater perspective, gain a greater perspective of who I am and how I can contribute to this world. It is truly a poetic song. And I'm ready to share it, to show it, to give it all to the world. So I hope that you're also hoping the same, that you're looking at your life as a poem, because it truly is. The way you live, who you are, and how you act can be a song to someone else. It can be uplifting to someone who's probably experienced and gone through the same things that you've gone through. It could be healing to someone who's challenged and going through struggles on a daily basis. But you're showing them just how to get through it, how to move past all of the pain that they may be experiencing in their lives. Saying it with passion, intention, and with authority and boldness. That's how we all need to live. That's how we need to speak. And that's how we need to convey who we are to the world, with boldness. And do it as if it is a poem, a love poem to the world. So that's honestly what we're going to be speaking about today. How poetry speaks to our lives, to our world, to our community, to individuals who need to hear those words of upliftment and progression, trust, love, hopes, and dreams. That is what we're going to be talking about today with an amazing guest that I have named Amanda Eke. So, the title of the show is The Poet Speaks. And we'll be speaking to Amanda Eke. She is a poetry in motion, my friend. Amanda Eke is where poetry meets power, where story becomes song, and where culture finds its voice. A Nigerian-American poet, filmmaker, and cultural storyteller, Amanda is the visionary creator and host of The Poet Speaks with Amanda Eke, a groundbreaking series that first lit up the Archaeology Channel and now shines as a PBS special. She also made history as the first Black woman to front a show on the Archaeology Channel, breaking barriers while building bridges. A Fulbright Fellow, a Guinness World Record holder, and an internationally celebrated artist, Amanda's journey travels boldly across borders, spanning the U.S., Europe, Africa, and Asia. Her work flows seamlessly through oral tradition, literature, film, and performance, always carrying the heartbeat of community and culture. Beyond the spotlight, Amanda leads the Poet Speaks poetry workshops around the globe, turning spoken word into a tool for literacy, healing, and empowerment. Whether on stage, on screen, or in the classroom, her mission remains clear: to center storytelling as a force for unity, transformation, and social change. So please help me welcome the beautiful Amanda Eke. How are you?
Hey, I'm doing good with the intro like that.
Oh.
I gotta bring you everywhere with me, just for you to say that. That
Just
sounds so good.
Put me in your pocket.
There
Put
we
me
go.
in your pocket.
There
I
we
am
go.
saying that's all you. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
All I did was form the sentences, but every bit of that was you and the amazing work that you're doing. And
Thank
I am
you.
so blessed to have you back. If you guys remember, ironically, you was here last September 2024 when you
wow.
just started on this journey
Yeah.
of the poet. You had been doing the Poet Speaks, but you had turned it into now a TV series. So
Yeah.
to come back a year later, you were poetically speaking then, and now the poet is actually speaking now.
It's divine alchemy. I didn't even realize it's been 1 year since September since we last
Yes.
were united on the show. Wow, that actually is crazy.
Yes, and so
oh my
much,
gosh.
so much has happened.
Yes,
You've
yeah.
accomplished so much, girl. She has been around the world and since
Yes, yeah.
our last conversation, and I just cannot tell you how happy I am for you, how
thank you so much.
godly proud I am of you.
Oh, thank you so
and I
much.
can't wait to get into the conversation.
Yes,
As
yes,
I
yes, yes.
mentioned, I haven't seen my audience in about a month, so you got to excuse me. I'm just getting warmed up again. I was in my rest mode all
There we
these
go.
weeks. You know what I'm
Yes, yes,
saying?
yes, absolutely.
But I am back, and I'm so glad to be able to share a guest of your caliber.
Thank you
for the
so much.
first show and basically the new season
Yes.
of Your Our Unity. So
Yes.
I usually don't form questions, but I have a few questions for you that I want to speak about. September is about growth, renewal, reflection, and it often is seen as a month of new beginning.
Yes, yes,
So
yes,
how
yes.
does this season feel poetically to you,
Ooh.
both personally and professionally?
Yeah, you know what? That's such a good question because September really is that kind of, it's a new season.
Yes.
Like literally, as we're entering into from summer into fall. And again, thank you for that introduction. You're naming some of those things. I'm like, I can't believe I even did that. Is that me? You
Yes,
sure?
Yes.
No, for real. But it's, no, personally, it's a summer was such a ground swelling for me.
Okay.
It was a lot of different things happening, fronting a show, executive producing a show, doing a special for PBS. There's a lot that goes into that. I don't think, I don't talk about enough how much work it is to really kind of do these types of things, seeing your art go from your mind to a script onto the screen.
Yes.
And it was a lot. It was a ground swelling this summer. I started off the year crazy. I was in Morocco.
Right.
I was invited for the Marrakesh International Storytelling event. They had over, that was storytellers, poets from all over the world,
Right.
uniting in Marrakesh, Morocco. Never been to Morocco. It's been about, honestly, 20 years since I had last been to Africa.
Wow.
So I'm Nigerian.
Yes,
So I'm,
20 years?
20 years, yeah. I had went when I was so young when I went. So it was kind of like, it was a reclamation almost.
Okay.
So I start off the year kind of being there, and I know we'll get into that, but that's how the year started off. Then the rest of the year was really just grinding.
Wow.
To get something like this on the air for, a cultural institution like PBS, but, also, the Archaeology Channel, being their the first show, not only the first Black woman to front the show
Exactly.
on Archaeology Channel, but also really, this is their new streaming network that they have. This show was made for the streaming network.
That's amazing.
So it's no joke. So no bars hold. So it's been a year of reclamation, personally, but also professionally. We've really been getting our feet wet and getting busy.
I love that. I love
Absolutely.
that. And to know that you went to Morocco, and it was for poetry. It's for
Yes.
that spoken word. It's for that song that we all have within us, and just putting pen to paper and sort of waking up our feelings
Yes.
on paper.
Yes.
How was that experience? Over in a different country, around different cultures, experiencing that moment of what poetry actually means and how it can transcend
Yeah.
globally.
It's really it's a moment of just, you can't believe it.
Yeah.
You look at yourself in the mirror, and it's almost like, I was telling just friends this, I still haven't processed it. I truly have not processed what I was able to do in Morocco, bringing oral traditions and poetry. Specifically, my workshop is called the Poet Speaks Workshop. Now we've been all around the world, Nepal, that's a picture of us, the group picture of the storytelling session of the workshop in Marrakesh. We've been to Nepal, Trinidad, Tobago. That's in Fez, Morocco, which is, some ways away from Marrakesh.
Right.
Again, we've been to London, we've been to UK, Malta,
Wow.
Japan. We've been all over the world with this workshop. So again, to add, Marrakesh, Morocco, a place that's so holy with, scriptured traditions. They write down everything. And one of the holiest places, in the world, in Fez. That was amazing. That changed my viewpoint on just how big poetry can be. Our oral traditions are something we need to hold on to in times like this. And it's one of those places, you know, being able to go to Morocco to share kids, you know, kids of all ages coming to that workshop.
Right.
You know, meeting teenagers in Africa, sharing Nigerian oral traditions. That really changed my viewpoint just on how big this is.
Oh, yes.
How big the Poet Speaks, you know, as a workshop. You know, not only are we the workshop, storytelling workshop that we travel, you know, we're also the podcast, now the TV show. Seeing how big this kind of, this dream that I had, and seeing how big it became, that was amazing. That blew my mind. I couldn't believe what I was doing with people from all around the world gathering for one purpose, which was to storytell. And my, you know, my thing through poetry, you know, my mode of storytelling through poetry. It just blew my mind.
I love
it really
that.
just blew my mind being there.
I love that. Well, you opened up the door for people to want to share that, you know.
Yes,
the workshop, I'm sure, is encouraging. It let people know that we all have that in us.
Yes.
And to just release it and let it go. And as I said earlier, it has the power to heal.
Yes,
you know.
absolutely.
So tell me, what similarities did you notice? I mean, you're Nigerian American, obviously, but you grew up here in America, and we have, you know, our own story. We have
Yes.
our own struggles. But what were the similarities that you found traveling to all of these different countries?
I mean, I think the similarities is we all have a story. You know, that's kind of, I start off my workshops with a game called, you know, What's in Your Name? You know, our names have so much significance, right? We were brought into this world through passageway, through our, you know, through whatever,
Right.
mothers, fathers, adoption, right? It doesn't matter, right?
Right.
But, you know, we've been given a name, and it's such power to speak your name. And, you know, that's what I start off my workshop with. What is your name? You know, whether you changed it, but what is your name and what
Right.
does it mean? So I'll give you an example, right? You know, my name is Amanda Eke. So that loosely translates from Igbo into English. That loosely translates into patience in the marketplace.
Oh.
So literally, you know, it's that idea of why my parents gave me my name. You know, they tried. They had to have patience in the marketplace of life
Right.
to finally, you know, get the prize, right?
Right.
Which is me.
We
right?
get Amen.
There we go. Which
Amen.
is me,
Yes.
right? But you know, it's that name that means so much, that holds so much value, patience in the marketplace of life. And it's really kind of, that's transcribed into my life now. I mean, there have been so many opportunities where I thought I would blow, right? I got big, right? You know, I used to be, you know, I used to work for ABC. I was a news anchor, right?
Oh, wow.
You know, and it's so many things, so many opportunities. Something may not work out there.
Right.
But then, you know, look at what's transpired in my life.
Yep.
So, you know, it's one of those things, you know, being able to tell my story and then kind of having people relate to that. What is in your name? We all have that story to tell.
Yes, we
And
do.
that's the similarities I think that we really all have that I've noticed all across the world.
I love that. I love that. How has this workshop impacted others in not only just America, but in those other countries? I mean, I saw photos there of you with diverse people.
Yeah.
And though our stories may be similar just from a different location, tell me, how do you think some of these people were impacted by what you had to offer?
You know, I had people coming up to me, people that I never would have thought would find interest in what I do. I mean, and all, you know, it's people from all backgrounds, men, women, of all ages. You know, at one point when I was in, I'll give you an example. I did a workshop, of all places, Jackson Hole, Wyoming.
Okay, wow.
That population is so different from my identity.
Right.
I had people, older men and women. They were, and you know, these are people, this was in their library.
Right.
And they're from, you know, they're from socioeconomic backgrounds that would blow your mind. These people just have
Really?
ranches just for fun.
Oh my God.
You know, but I remember I had a woman come up to me. She was a widower, but you know, she was like, I mean, she must have been like 70 years old. She came to my workshop that night in my reading, and she comes up to me and she's crying.
Oh my God.
She was in tears. You know, I'd read this poem, part of my workshop, this original piece I have, it's called Sins of the Father, how generational trauma transcribes
Right.
through us. And she just comes up to me and she's crying.
Oh my God.
She's like, thank you so much for reading that to me. And it's just experiences like that where it's people from all across the spectrum. Little kids, I remember in Marrakesh, in the square, in, you know, the holy place in the square, It was literally little kids. They were just coming up to me. They're like, Amanda, Amanda, Amanda. You know, we just loved it. Barely could even speak English. You know, in Japan, I remember just people saying, you know, Amanda-san, thank you so much, bowing.
Oh.
You know, it's just this kind of experience. You just transverse it, but it shows you that empathy, that genuine nature in poetry, speaking your story. It translates across language barriers, translates across oceans. So that's just been what's amazed me, I think.
I could imagine it being so humbling as well.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? And knowing that you have this gift. When did you really own it and hone what you have inside of you?
Man, you know, I'm still trying to do that. I think I'm still trying to hone that. I'm still trying to, you know, I say like as a woman, we have such an interesting, unique experience in our womanhood. And it's just, you know, I'm now entering into that young womanhood, or no, that full-blown womanhood, going from young girl to really womanhood. And you know, and I look at it now as seasons. You know, every season I've had, maybe, you know, when I was younger, I was so like confident.
Right.
But cocky.
Yeah, okay.
I wasn't just confident, I was cocky.
Okay.
You know, now that I've
You
grown,
can own that. I like that. Not too many people can.
I
You
can
was
own,
cocky.
you know, I was cocky when I was a young girl. I mean, but, you know, it's like I've now honed that cockiness into, you know, what can I really give?
Yeah.
You know, and it's been such a journey. Everywhere I've been is part of who I am now.
Right.
And, you know, now I'm just welcoming the seasons, honestly, LaShawn. Like, I'm welcoming every season I'm in.
I love that.
And I'm honing it to the point where you can't, like, it's unshakable.
Right.
You can't knock me.
Yes.
You know, because it's taken me so long to get here.
Right.
That now I appreciate it. I'm actually savoring it.
I love that.
You know, and I know what I want to say. I stand up and say it. I don't miss words anymore. You know, I don't shake anymore. You know, I'm here to say what I need to say. I'm here to make the art I want to make. You know, I've been there. I've been with the top bigwigs.
Right.
It's not what you think it is.
Right. I hear you.
And it's one of those things, you know, I've been so lucky to now I can create my own platform.
Yes.
That is really for me powerful.
I love that.
And it's not powerful for other people, it's powerful for me.
For you.
To be able to have my name on a show.
Yeah.
My name's with Amanda Eke.
Yes.
You know, so that's the honing in, and it's like I said, it's seasons. It's different every time, and I'm so happy to have that.
How did you realize, because I'm hearing that you gained confidence. You went from cocky to confident, and confident in terms of I know it, I own it, I'm living it, I'm being it, I am it. You know what I mean? Whereas cocky, it's you're to me, for cocky people out there, is you're trying to convince people of something that you probably already know, but you want them to see it. Your confidence is you're walking in the door now and they see it before you have to say a word about it.
Yes,
you know
ma'am.
what I'm saying? So how did you know that there was a space for what you do, a lane that you created that it was needed, and to actually see it fully realized right now?
You know, I think just when I was younger, like I said, that cockiness was willful naivete. I was naive. I didn't know any better.
Right.
No one knocked me down a peg.
Right.
I had people in my circle, and this is why I say, you know, we are who we surround ourselves with. I had people, friends, family, friends that became family. They never knocked me down. They said, girl, you go do it.
Yeah.
You know, it was just a constant, just go do it. What's stopping you?
Right.
And it was, I think, that naivete just, why not? Why shoot for the moon when there's stars above the moon?
That's right.
You know, that's really what it was. But I think, you know, life hits you in ways you don't even imagine. Like I said, you know, I've had a variety of working experiences, working at ABC as a news anchor, right? Dream job. You know, maybe you see some things that, you know, don't appeal to you.
Right.
You know, I always say, you know, you get your dream, but people don't realize after you get your dream, what's next?
Yes.
How do you maintain your dream?
Yeah.
And being able to kind of obtain my dream at those different spaces of working, especially being on camera, you know, it kind of taught me, you know what, maybe it's not what you thought it was.
Yeah.
And maybe there's a different way.
Yeah.
Maybe you're meant to do something else and kind of create something that is of integrity, of responsibility, of creativity. Maybe you have the access, you can now shine a light on other people.
Right.
In their art, not only just your art. And I think that that's kind of what honed me. That really is what molded me like clay.
Wow.
You know what I mean? And it's kind of, it's a pattern of falling down, getting back up again. But you know, that builds that mileage in you, I think. And that built that mileage in me. So now everywhere I've been, it's who I am now.
Yes.
It's that story that keeps writing itself. But it's also, I think for me, honing that confidence, welcoming the mistakes.
Yeah.
Nothing will go as planned.
Yeah.
Like nothing.
Nope. You ain't never lied about that, my friend. Yes.
Nothing. I thought it would go as planned with this, with my show, with these specials. No. Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
And that's really what has molded me into that confidence.
I love
And that
that.
confidence is a constant step, constantly building that, constantly showing up every day consistently.
I love that. I love that. Well, for those out there who are not so poetically inclined, is there a particular style of poetry that you hone? So tell me about that.
Yeah, you know, for me, I'm all about biographical free verse. Ooh. And that's what I kind of name it because, you know, for me, when I speak, when I do poetry, I say, you know, my gift is I can see things from the speculation and viewpoint of other people. You know, I write poems about my friends.
Okay.
I write poems about the woman I met on the subway.
Okay.
I write poems about the man I know at work.
Wow.
I write poems about, you know, the people I know that were vets in war. I write poems about my parents who lived through a war.
Right.
You know, I write it from their perspective, you know, and I think for me, that's how I look at things, you know. I like to see things from other people's point of view and write truth to whatever that truth is. You know, I don't like honestly stories that leave us with a lesson.
Right. Okay.
You know, and the reason why I say that, that's controversial, but you know, I don't want you to necessarily feel good.
Right. Yeah.
I want people to feel though.
Yes.
You know, I want people to feel something.
Right.
You know, because life is unfortunately not full of tidied up answers,
Right.
right? Something put together and packaged well. You know, I want when people read my poetry to reel something authentic and real.
Yes.
So for me, you know, that's the type of style that I write, really free verse, obviously with rhymes, but really metaphorical hooks, you know, different, you know, just different perspectives in that sense. You know, I'm not the typical haiku poem writer.
Right.
But for me, that's what I love. And you know, when I kind of cast for my show to showcase writers, you know, all across the world, that's what I want. I don't need someone to be famous to sell 1 million chapbooks or 1 million poetry
Right.
books or 1 million views. I want your story.
Right.
I want you to shine. I want you to tell us, why are you writing? What's the purpose? So for me, that's what's really big, that authenticity, and that only comes from the heart.
Yeah.
That only comes from people that have lived.
Right. I love that you said that it's not a feel good. You don't want you really don't want you to leave the person feeling good. What I'm hearing is you want them to think.
Yes.
You want them to resonate on those words.
Yeah.
You want them to be impacted by what they heard.
Yes.
In a way that's maybe even going to drive some type of change.
Yeah.
Within them, within the way they see things and the way they approach others.
Yes.
And I think that is beautiful because I do think there should be sort of like a cliffhanger. You know what I mean? Like you fill in the rest type of thing.
Yes.
You know,
Yes.
like you get what I'm saying. I know you heard what I said, but now you finish the story, you know? And I think that a lot of people should see poetry in that way also because as you said, you're telling someone's story. If it could be your coworker, it could be someone you met on a bus, it could be someone that just passed by you that you noticed an aura or there was an aura about them. You're speaking about how they made you feel in that moment. You fill in the rest, you
Yes,
know? So I
absolutely.
think that is amazing. I really, really do. So we've been talking about it. You got a special on the Archaeological Channel. You was the first Black woman to get this done.
Yeah.
Tell me how that came about.
Ooh, no, yes. That came about through, I mean, I can honestly tell you that came about through a relationship. So I'm a director and filmmaker. One of my first films, my first ever directorial debut was a film called Bidla.
Okay.
And it was, as I did my Fulbright, as you had mentioned earlier, I did a Fulbright in Malta. So I lived in Malta. And as any artist does, you go to a different country, you go to every bar possible and try out for open mics.
Right.
So I was performing in places and spaces in Malta, which is in the Mediterranean. It's right underneath Italy, small island country. And I noticed this new form of music where they were mixing American rap with Maltese folk music.
Oh, wow.
It was the most unique hybrid of music I had ever heard in a bar in my life.
Fascinating.
So I went to school. I went and got my grad degree at Syracuse the following year after the Fulbright. Then I wanted to do my master's thesis, which was that debut film.
Okay.
So I just turned the thesis into a film. They said, we'll give you funding. There we go. You get money. You got to make things happen.
Wow. And you made it happen.
There
and
we
how
go.
many episodes? 8, 12 episodes? How many did you have?
So that was just the film.
Okay.
So that was a film. So that was the debut film that I had. It went and toured all around the world in
Okay.
film festivals. Then the Archaeology Film Festival had happened. I had submitted to Archaeology Film Festival. They loved it. They put it on their streaming site. Now, originally, this streaming site was just their first of its kind. So basically, at a certain point, they then said, we want original content. We need a TV show, a flagship, right? Original content for Archaeology Channel for our new flagship streaming site. So essentially, what I did, submitted a pitch. It was all-out pitch all across the country.
Wow.
So these are people, these are guys and girls, people, filmmaking for years.
Right.
I had one film underneath my belt.
Oh my goodness.
I submitted the pitch for the show, The
Right.
Poet Speaks with Amanda Eke. I had done a podcast called The Poet Speaks.
Right.
So basically submitted the pitch for the TV show, how we turn a podcast into a TV show, submitted the pitch. They said, you know what, the CEO, the owner, the starter of Archaeological Institute, which is the Archaeology Channel, called me up one day, a month after the pitch was set. He's like, you're the one.
Wow.
We want your show on our network.
And
This is the first original broadcasting. for it.
archaeology. History was made, my
There we go.
friend.
Yeah.
I love it. I love it. So I saw the first 4, I think, episodes I
Yeah.
watched. And they were great. I truly was transformed, not just by the content, but by the poets
Yeah.
that you interviewed and their story. And I actually helped out with a couple of episodes too. I don't know if you saw it, but you need to go back and watch it. We could still see it streaming, right? You'll see
Yeah.
my name in print. That's all I have to say. But the fact is that it was a great representation of what spoken word and poetry means and how diverse voices are able to express themselves, you know what I mean? And still be so impactful and empowering others, you know what I mean? I think that is what I got out of it most, to see their stories unravel through their mouth, you know
Yes,
what I mean? And I think
absolutely.
it was beautiful. So you guys must check it out. It's the Archaeology Channel.
Yes.
I think you have to subscribe, but it is worth the subscription. So please do it. How did Morocco come into play then?
Yeah, so season 1 is still airing now, streaming now on Heritage Broadcasting. Just look up The Poet Speaks with Amanda Eke, streaming now on Heritage Broadcasting. So essentially, yeah, like I said, that became such a big buzz and press. We had the screening for the premiere of the show in November of last year at Poets House, New York City. Such a big deal. Was now kind of doing magazine features all over. And really, I mean, Marrakesh International Storytelling Festival, that was just kind of through word of mouth.
Wow.
They had kind of handpicked some folks. I had got in contact with the people over the festival. What's amazing about that festival, that was, brought to the country. They had support from the Kingdom of Morocco, Morocco Ministry of, Arts and Affairs. And that kind of just came about through there. And that it's just, after you get one opportunity, things start
Just
falling
happen.
like
Yes,
dominoes.
yes.
And, again, being able to be the first Black woman to front a show on
Yeah.
the Archaeology Channel, I don't mince my words. That's humbling.
Yeah, no, I can
that is
imagine.
an amazing achievement, and being able to be the first to do that. Really, I want to open up even more doors. Get more of us in these spaces of literature.
Yes.
We've been there, but we could be there even more.
Yes, we could.
Archaeology, history. Really archiving our history.
Yes.
More than anything is really what this show is a living testament to. Archival of our living histories of poetry. The first season, again, stream it now. It takes place in New York City.
Yes.
And we are looking towards season 2 to take place Washington, D.C.
I love it.
So we're all over the place.
It.
And,
Yes.
we're looking forward. And, again, Marrakesh had happened, word of mouth. Again, everything falling like dominoes, just falling into place. So.
I love that. Well, I'm glad that it fell into place for you, that you were able to travel to this amazing country. We do have a clip of your experience there, and then we're going to talk real quick after we show it, okay?
Absolutely.
Here's.
From inspiring workshops to insightful panels and a grand gala dinner, the Marrakech Storytelling Festival has been an unforgettable experience. And the highlight? We broke the Guinness World Record for the longest story circle in the history. Right here, in Jamal Ifna Square. 100 storytellers, 120 hours, one incredible journey. Thank you for joining us on this amazing adventure in the vibrant city of Marrakech.
I write poems for people who don't even know I exist. I resist to people who will probably never even hear me.
Wow, wow, that was amazing. That truly looked like an amazing experience.
Yes.
How did you feel being surrounded by everyone there? And I understand a Guinness Book World Record was actually broken there. Like,
Yes.
what was that experience like?
Yeah, that experience again, it was like, is this a movie? I mean, yeah, it was, again, people really, it gives me goosebumps. I really feel that I was so in my element.
Yeah.
There was no pressure, no anything. As you saw me standing in that carpet teaching people about Igbo oral traditions and poetry, it felt natural, honestly. All the people just feeling good. All that feedback that I got, just empowering people to really tell their stories. People that had never even done poetry came to that workshop. It felt so good. And, to break the Guinness World Record for longest recorded storytelling session in humanity. We were up, so I remember it was literally like people came to that tent, that square.
Right.
There was just a tent set up just for storytelling.
Okay.
From dawn till night. 24/7, it did not stop.
Wow.
So it was literally to participate in that as one of the storytellers and to, again, break that Guinness Book of World Records for inhumanity, recorded inhumanity.
Wow.
Nonstop, that was over 80 hours, nonstop. People just kept coming, 1 a.m., 2 a.m., nonstop.
And you was up that whole entire time?
People got to sleep in between them.
Oh, okay,
Because it was over 100 storytellers,
right,
so a good amount of
okay.
people. So we just circumvented,
I
circled through.
love that.
That was
So
amazing.
were these people who are known as poets, novices, professionals? These are people that just picked up their book and said, I'm going to this workshop.
Invitation.
And
Invitation only, yeah, invitation only. So people from Ireland, I was one of a handful of people from the United States.
Wow.
So people from Ireland, just some from USA, Europe, Japan, Hong Kong, Australia. People literally from every continent came to gather in Marrakesh to celebrate storytelling and break that Guinness Book of World Records.
What was your most memorable moment? The one that just really, you said you feel still goosebumps, but if you had to think of one moment that just, makes your heart skip a beat, or it was the best thing that I could have ever experienced at this time in this second?
You mean when I was there in
Yes.
Marrakesh? I mean, just giving the word to the people, being in that space, in that tent, in the square. To going to Fez, Morocco. Consider one of really one of the wonders of the world.
Yeah.
Being there to just teach the word. Honestly, that was amazing, and just hearing people from all backgrounds loving the word and encouraging and being a part of that. Getting lost in the Medina. You know what I mean? Getting people heckling me, right? Eating the food, holding a snake.
Oh, I saw
You know what I
that,
mean?
yes.
I mean, that was
Bold.
just amazing. I mean, it's
Yeah.
just, that's just the once in a lifetime experiences where you're like, I can't believe I did that.
I know.
But, it's, I'm so happy, we were able to have someone, tape, film it, and, record it and, be a part of just, legacy and history.
I love to see the diverse faces of everyone who was truly to me, engaged.
Yeah.
Truly engaged and fascinated by your presence. You know what I mean? While you were speaking, like holding on to your every word. Did you find that you was doing the same for others who were speaking, who were?
Absolutely. I mean, that's kind of that's the purpose of the space. You want to share, you want to, like I said, even for me, when I give my presentations, when I give poetry, whatever form it is, media, in workshops, I want you to feel me.
Right.
I got into this habit now, whenever I'm performing, if I see people talking off on the side,
Right.
I go right up to them, I look them in the eye, and I speak even louder.
Wow.
Because I want you to be present. I want you to feel what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I'm so now, like I said, that confidence, so intentional.
Yeah.
With what we're doing and what I really want to say. I want you to feel every moment of it.
Right.
And I'm the same way whenever, I'm holding space for others as they're performing or giving their tutelage, whatever it is, their information. And, I just think that is so important. And, I love that you picked that up in the video. I really did feel that, people coming up even afterwards. And it's just it's so good to be so intentional when you're in those spaces.
Right.
We're here only for such short, limited amount of time to make it count. So
That's right. And you're right. You want people to be able to not just be there to hear the word, but to feel the word.
Yes.
You know what I mean? To let it fill them, and for them to leave with something, which I think is more important than anything. We can go to a poet's workshop, we can go to a poetry session in the city, and everyone is speaking, but did you gain anything from it? Did you leave with anything? Has it changed you? Has it informed you? Which I think is important as well, through when people are telling their story. So I think that's beautiful. I really do. Well, I said I had questions. I don't even know if wait a second, what did that moment mean to you? I asked you, poetry and spoken word have long been tools for empowerment and healing. How do you see them working as agents of change in today's world?
Oh, they're pivotal. They're pivotal. Right now we're at a crossroads. It's like I said, I love how you said you began our session today. Really, it can be a healing.
Yes.
You know what I mean? So many people may need healing. They may not know how to express it, right? I think spoken word poetry, especially, the word, the performance, why do we need to get our words out?
Yes.
We all have something to say, no matter what our diverse set of abilities is, right? Whether we're verbal, nonverbal, we all can translate something.
Yeah.
And I think more than anything right now, speaking word to our stories, we are our own living archives, right? We need to speak now more than ever about what it is we're seeing, what we're going through, what we will go through, and how we can make it to the other side safely.
Yes.
That's really what I really want people to take away really from our show. And for my show, this idea of, why do you need to get your words out? I really question, people that come on, our poets that come on. Why do you need to speak?
Right.
What is important about what you have to say? Why is it now? Why is it so timely? And I think more than anything, that's really the purpose of this sacred practice.
Right.
We've had a history of life. So many people, it wasn't written down, it was spoken.
Yes. True.
It was through your sister told my sister,
Yeah.
who then told her kids, who then told their brother, who then told their kids. It's such a it's a constellation of stars.
Yes.
It's a constellation of us speaking to each other.
Yes.
You know, I always said, you know, when I want to make this, I want to make oral traditions cool again.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I want people to understand why it's so important for us to tell stories. You know, and that's kind of also the purpose of the show. Not only are we seeing poetry just in the light of writing and speaking, but we see how our environments are shaped.
Yes.
Right? We did our first season in New York City. But, you know, we want to go to Rio de Janeiro. We want to go to Compton, California. We want to go to Nigeria. We want to go to Australia. We want to go to Native American, indigenous places, right?
Yes.
Places, our environment speaks to who we are and why we need to write and tell our stories.
Yes.
So that's why it's more important now more than ever. We need to preserve and really reclaim who we are through our stories.
I love that. I love that you said that, because you're so right. We do. We are a people that will share stories. Sometimes, you know, pivotal information is missing, you know, once it's gone down from generation to generation. Also, you know, we can just change the formats sometime as well, and the truth can also get diluted as well. So it is important that we write these things down, that we have these oral traditions, we have these spoken words, and then put it plain on paper, so that there's no mincing of the words, there's no missing of the message. You know, you get it, you read it, you understand it, it is my truth, now share it with others, you know. And I think that is so important, and as you said, especially today, because we are the archives of our story. We are the people that is going to have the people after us remember us by what we are showing and telling the world. And I think that is so important at this moment, because a lot of us, even our voices are being erased, even our thoughts are being erased. So it is important that we put it out there in a way that we can never be removed from society, from the world, and from the ears of others, and for others to relate to who we are and where we came from. So I think that's beautiful. I really do. Well, congratulations to you. You are also starting, you've led the Poet Speaks Poetry workshop around the globe. So now you are doing a PBS special. Please tell me how that came about.
Yes. So the PBS special, I mean, we've been in talks since just about, honestly, March. You know, after kind of the experience of Marrakesh, it then became kind of just, you know, hey, how do we get this to more people, right? And it was kind of, you know, just luck of draw. You know, I have such great folks in my life. We did, we kind of wanted to do something to, after season 1 in February of this year and March of this year, said, how do we kind of proliferate to more people? We want season 2. We want people to notice this show, what we're doing. Shot something in, you know, February of this year, and kind of got in talks with PBS in just about March. The conversations then began, and you know, they said, we want your season 2, episode 0 to be a PBS special.
Wow.
And that's literally how we picked it up. As you saw there, the special aired today. Hey, today, 3 p.m. Eastern, aired on WCNY PBS. So that aired to over 1 million households in the upstate New York region. 3 p.m. Eastern today. And now after today, it is now available on PBS across the country. Go to WCNY.org. PBS and look up The Poet Speaks. You can now see our special that was held in the Bronx. Again, that is season 2, episode 0. And again, you know, what I want to really say is PBS is a cultural institution, you know, that they have curated content.
Yes.
For this type of programming, you know, for me to be able to have my show on PBS, that is an absolute privilege and honor.
Yes.
I want to just say that because, again, like I said, it is curated. They hand select who gets put in those archives of our, of, you know, the institution that is in the USA.
Yes.
And I want to say more than anything, thank you to everyone who helped make my dream come true, my cast, my crew, everyone, people like you, LaShawn, that have been riding with me since last year, since we started. It is such an honor and privilege to be able to have a special, being able to, people work for years, so be able to have this given to me, you know, it's no easy feat, but, you know, it's really, for all the people that have supported me into who I am today, this is such an honor. And again, you know, you can now check it out across the country. Go to just WCNY.pbs.org and just put in The Poet Speaks, and you can see our special with Mario Morales, a great poet out of the Bronx. And we go through the Bronx, talk about gentrification, everything changing, and how his poetry has been affected by that. So everyone go check that out. Again, there's The Poet Speaks with Amanda Eke PBS special. Just visit wcny.org/PBS.
I think it's so apropos how that first episode dropped today, and she's a guest on the You're Our Unity show today when her episode drops on PBS. I think it is amazing, and we have a quick clip we would like to show you.
This is The Poet Speaks, a show all about oral tradition.
Hip hop and cardboard boxes on the block, reggaeton, bandolero, soy yo, heavy metal, punk rock, and la junior high pop.
And what makes poetry so amazing, so incredible, is its absolute fascination and ability to change our lives. The oral tradition, the reason why we speak. This is The Poet Speaks.
Yes. This is The Poet Speaks with Amanda Eke. I think that this year you have done such great work, and it's only going to get better.
Thank you.
So much better for you, my friend. You're now on the Archaeology Channel. She's now on PBS. We're going to be seeing you on Netflix. We're going to be seeing you on Hulu. We're going to be seeing you on ABC, NBC, the very ABC where you worked at. Your story, not only of what you're doing, but how you've created this platform for others to speak their truth, to come out of their hiding place and to let their voices be heard, is going to be global, national. You've already been in these areas and these spaces. Now it's time for the world to see it in full color. And I am so happy for you. I really, truly am. Tell me, what do you think other storytellers out there should do to get their voices out there? Maybe they have this gift and they don't know how to use it. They don't know where to begin. They don't have that cocky confidence that you have. What would you share with those storytellers out there about how to get started?
That is the best question in the world. Honestly, my best advice to get started, just have the audacity to step in every room you can. Just have the boldness, have the audacity. You know, don't ever question yourself. Just do what you have to do. Make sure check all your boxes, cross the T's, dot the I's, but have the audacity to say that I want this and I belong here.
Yep.
Really, really having the audacity to just take what you want out of life, you know, no bars hold, and really just have the audacity to dream big.
I love that.
You know, really, really just have that.
I love that. I love that. That
Absolutely.
cocky confidence, my friends. You got to lead with the confidence and just be cocky about your confidence. You know, that you got it. I know. And just own it. Just own it. And step into those rooms knowing that you have what it takes in order to get the job done.
Yeah,
I love that.
absolutely.
I love that. Let me ask you, how do you balance honoring traditional oral traditions while also innovating for modern audiences?
Yeah, you know, I think for me it's a fun mix.
Okay.
You know, I don't even look at it as a stressor anymore. You know, I look at it as, you know, we're creating traditions now.
Right.
You know, traditions, you know, honoring people's stories to me is the privilege of my life.
Right.
You know, being able to honor, you know, I like I said, I don't want to take what you say and say it for you. I want to just give you a platform so you can step on stage with your 2 feet and say what you need to say to tell your own story. So, you know, I trust the people that we have on the show, whether it be the podcast or the TV show. I trust that you know your story better than anyone else knows their story. You're going to give honor to what you know. You're going to give honor to what you've lived through. And I give you full trust that you have every capability to do the best of your abilities.
I love that.
So that's how I really balance it, you know, and It's with the kind of new inundations of technology, and like you said, we're telling stories in a different way.
Right.
Finding out those different ways through different forms, modalities, AI, finding ways how we can incorporate all these new things, because it's not only telling the oral traditions, but how do we make it accessible?
Yes.
Like I said, we want to make, poetry, we want to make storytelling, oral traditions. I want to make it cool, right? Not that we need a stamp of coolness, because we already are cool, right?
That's right.
But we want to make it more accessible. We want to see and show people this is important. This is why you need to invest in this project, this TV show.
Right.
For those that are wondering how you can get involved. Season 2, we're open. We're seeding fund round right now. If you want to get in contact, just go to amandaeke.com, just simply my name. We really, really do want people to see how important this is, how important this is more than ever right now.
I love that. I love that. So your legacy, and we'll be sharing her information in a bit. What's your legacy? What do you want to leave the world looking ahead? What's next for The Poet Speaks and for Amanda Eke?
Legacy is such an interesting question. My legacy is in the now. I'm right here right now, a really brutal, you asked me earlier what's a personal thing you've learned this year. A really brutal truth I learned was just, this word legacy, I learned it from just even people in my family. I have an aunt and uncle, they left me with a legacy of love. Seeing what they did for, someone else in my family. It was a time of grief for us. But seeing how I saw them love each other, it clicked in my mind when I really sat down and thought about it. They left me a legacy of love. I was touched by everything that they had told me about their story with their child, et cetera, et cetera. I won't go too deep into it, right? But, it was realizing that they left a legacy on how they loved each other, how they showed up for each other. And I think that twist, that changed me in the best way possible.
I love it.
Going through that healing with them and realizing that, our legacy is in what we do now. It's not just in money. It's not just in name. It's not just in ego, but it's in the legacy of how we treat each other.
I love that.
It's in the legacy of love. And that's where I'm at now. My legacy is in this, in poetry, oral tradition, and storytelling, and how I want to put other people, give them the platform to tell their own stories.
I love it. I love it. Well, thank you so much for being here, Miss Amanda Eke, who legacy is love. Her information where you can reach out to her, because she's always looking for talented people like you, creatives out there that want to speak their truth. And you can follow her on Instagram at Amanda Eke Official, and also at Poet Speaks Amanda Eke, right? I can't see, I'm blind.
Poet Speaks on Instagram.
Yes,
Poet
on
Speaks
Instagram.
Amanda Eke.
Exactly. So
Yes.
please reach out to her, and also follow her so that you can get more details on her specials. All right, so we're going to get real quick to the Dare to Be You. And it is. Dare to let your words rise beyond the ordinary, carrying truth, rhythm, and healing. Poetry isn't just art, it's a reflection of who you are, your culture, your spirit, your story. Dare to speak with intention, to let your voice ripple into spaces where silence once lived. This season, let your life itself become a poem, unapologetic, authentic, and boldly you. And that's exactly what this beautiful young lady has shared with us today. Please go out there, live your truth poetically, speak your truth poetically, and live in your truth daily. I'd like to thank this amazing woman, Amanda Eke, for being here. I'd like to also thank you, the viewers, for tuning in to another fabulous episode of Your Our Unity. Please remember that I love you, and peace and love is in the palm of our hands. So let's go out there and be some love, share some love, and just walk in love. I'll see you soon here on Your Our Unity. In the meantime, have a beautiful night, and we'll see you later. Have a good one. Love you.